Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. Nice turnout. And I'm Jonas Veruda, everybody knows. And people coming in, great. Hi, Magda. So this is I call it TRI-FACET Visions, the name of the show. Artworks, paintings, and drawings by Marian Doherty, by Marc Chabot, and by Armando Erba. And I would like to let them speak for themselves. But I'm very happy to show the group as it is. So, and I thank Marian Chapelet for being the cameraman person. And tell us about your work. If you'd like to speak first, Marian.
Okay, my work, the subject matter is mostly water. As you can see, a lot of water. Our planet has got 71% of its mass is water. And our bodies, approximately 60% of our bodies is water, and 90% of our blood is water. And in ancient Chinese philosophy, water is yin, and they believe in the dialogue between the positive and the negative, the light and the dark, the cool and the warm. And yin is very dark and cool and relaxed and feminine and flowing. Now my subject matter is dealt with in a representational way, which is different from my sculpture, which is very abstract and minimal. But Morandi, who's a painter, said nothing is more abstract than reality. And he painted still lifes with oil paintings. I use oil pastels. I was introduced to oil pastels by Mary Buckley in my foundation year at Pratt Institute, color theory class. The oil pastels I use are made by Sennelier. They were designed for Picasso. They are in the size and the shape of a crayon, but the consistency of a lipstick. And oil pastels, the box set I have is 125 pieces, so a painter has to mix the color to exactly what they wanted, but I just pick a color up and use it and apply it directly to the paper. And so I can work a lot faster, and I can capture the moment with the changing quality of light. I can work faster with oil pastels, and I can work in plein air. And that's pretty much it. You can see the locations, various locations around Milford. That's West Haven Boat Launch. And that's it.
Marian, if you would like to talk about each piece particularly, could we ask about them?
Oh, okay, yeah. So this one is in Milford Harbor, and it was done gesturally, a lot of gestures. This one is Charles Island in Milford at twilight, so that you get the quality of the setting sun was over there, and the moon was over there, and just the little waves on the water, very calm water. This was in Milford Harbor. It was very calm. And this is the most structured of any of the works because I drew it out before I applied color. But I call it snug in harbor. I like the feeling of snugness there. As I said, this is West Haven Boat Launch. This was in the winter. I call it winter ice. And there was a swan there. So it's exactly as I saw it and as I was able to capture it. This is low tide, so there's sandbars that get revealed when the tide goes out. This is Walnut Beach, and I left the paper to represent the sand. It has a sandy quality to it and color. This is through the car window. It's the marsh over by the Audubon Society in Milford, sun setting, and I drew it. I was inside my car, and I drew it as and that's what I did.
There's an interesting variation in the way you use your brush strokes in each piece, that they all work consistently with your style, I think. So, thank you.
Marian, are there any colors in your 125 color box that you haven't used?
Some browns. Some browns I haven't used. some I use more, I have to go and replace them, like sky blue and white.
Mm-hmm.
I have to replace often. I have to go to Jerry's on one.
Ah.
You use different types of paper?
Yeah, that paper was white and that paper was sand colored. Yeah.
Did you do these in the last week?
Week and a half.
Week and a half? No.
So how long does it take you to do a piece, approximately?
Approximately 3 hours.
Okay.
So do they have special remember when you look at them? You were out there that day?
Yeah.
And these are over a series of years, right?
Yeah.
And there must be like part of your life reflected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different things going on.
That remind you. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that. The big puddle must be an interesting time.
The big puddle?
The big puddle in the middle. You know,
The big puddle.
yeah, the big black too. It's younger than that. Yeah.
I was in my car when I did that also. It was very cold
Kind of a
outside
cold
and I don't
time.
like the cold.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Yay.
Armando, would you
Yeah, I'll
comment?
say a couple words. Well, these were from 1997. I did a year of painting when I moved to San Francisco, and it started by finding canvases in the garage where I was living with like 6 other men. And to get away from them, I saw these painted canvases and acrylics in the garage, and it gave me some solace by doing them. Anyway, the subject matter comes from newspaper articles I read. And the one on the left is Serbian child, Christian, of course, with crucifix. And it was during the Kosovo Bosnian War. There's a piece of a Muslim child, which I didn't bring, but that's how that developed. And the one on the right, I call Marshman, and that was born out of Shakespeare's play. You know, at the end of, I forget, I don't know. It's Hamlet, is it Ophelia? No, Hamlet's Ophelia.
Yeah.
And at the end, Ophelia kills herself. And there's a famous painting of her reclining in like water that's shallow, but she's killing herself, and there's like all water lilies around her and flowers. So that was, I just did a take on a marshman, marsh. And the middle one's just out of my own, you know, memories of seeing war in Vietnam. You know, remember how on TV they always had clips of the war, and I used to get frustrated because it was so nasty that I did this women of Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, of Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City now, and so I just did it out of my mind of women that necessarily weren't tortured by the war. You know, the colors. Do you know what I mean? They could be women at the marketplace in Saigon. They could be the prostitutes. They could be any women. But it's not war ravaged. You know, it's taking a look at the other side of people during war, which there's beauty. Not everything is destroyed. You know, and that's about it. But and I did a year of painting, and. Oh, and the one on the right was based on, I took a class, finally, after I did the first 2. I said, well, let me take a class. And so I took a class from a Japanese teacher in San Francisco who was just teaching brush strokes. And so that one on the right came out of, not a lesson, but I tried to apply different ways of using brush strokes. These brush strokes are really important. Right? I mean, of course it's painting, there's a brush. Right? So, and that's it.
They're acrylic?
All acrylic, yeah. And I like them because some of them are starting to peel off, like,
Yeah, that's the effect.
yeah. And it sort of gives a 3-dimensionality without realizing they're being peeled off. The peeling is starting to happen. Maybe not those 3 papers. Maybe it was the,
This one here has
It's
peeling
peeling.
eyes.
They're
the eyes.
The eyes.
they're painted on top of paintings and stuff?
No.
No, they're just blank canvases?
Blank canvases, yeah. And I did each canvas in a day, you know. Because once I started, it's so funny how, you know, you look at a blank canvas, we all know this, it's the same thing with, and you know, I was staring at one for like, there were 3 of the canvases were in the base, in the garage. And I go there daily and think, oh, I'm not, how did I start? And then he said, you fool, just pick up a brush and do the first stroke. And develop, you know what I mean? You have to come in at it like that, right? Same thing with my performance. It's like nonlinear instruction. You just it comes in and goes out. There's an arc to it, but underneath the arc is all disparate elements. And that's it. I'm starting to feel disparate.
Well, we're all staring at you.
I know. I'm not looking at you. You're all beautiful.
Are these paintings your initiation into painting?
Yeah.
Process of painting? And you just happen to find these acrylics and the canvases in the
Right
garage?
in the garage.
Wow.
Yeah. I was living in, well, I mean, if you want more real detail, it was a secondary rehab home for 6 men. Very nice home on the top of Patrol Hill, you know, lovely.
Yeah.
But to get away from the 6 men, the paintings were my solace. There were 6 addicts in the house that were getting sober. And on a pleasant day.
Oh, they were alcoholics sober?
Drugs.
Oh, they were
drugs,
together.
alcohol, you know. But we all had like 6 months to a year under our belt to get into secondary program. You know. And so that's.
Did they work?
Some of them did. Some of them did. I was trying to get back into the workforce.
Yeah. Did you take drugs?
And then when they, you know, 9 to 5.
Did you take drugs while you were there?
No. I'm espresso. I got a job as a barista. Seriously.
Yeah.
You know, down in the financial district of San Francisco in the morning. So it was
Busy.
That's what you find.
non-stop 2 hours.
I
was excellent.
People are on something.
Yeah. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Armando.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'm mostly a performance artist, and I'm having the show come up within a year. So please keep your eyes open for a poster that will be probably created and designed by my good friend Roberta, who designed my last poster for a show called and so keep your eyes open. That's my forte, is performance.
How about a little dance right now?
I can't dance right now because I'm having some lower back spine problems, so I don't want to jiggle it too much. The discs are in place now.
Finger dancing. Like piano.
Want to dance?
Well, you could vocalize it.
That's a little preview of the show.
Oh.
The show's called, I'm still working with the title, because it's a little, Dysfunction Junction. Yeah. You can kind of think of Joe, he's moving kind of slow in the junction. It's not really, but it gives you that kind of, and there's dysfunction there. When Marian comes out over the water tower, all the girls with their slip other garments.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, that was sexy.
I loved all
Very
that.
sexy.
Yeah.
I would have given anything to see
What was in the
a
water
little bit
tower?
more. Yeah. A breast, a nipple, a foot.
Yeah, I didn't go that far because I started looking at the men and farm boys. And, anyway, that's just a humorous anecdote.
It's funny.
Yeah. So thank you, people. Yeah, it's really good to get them out. Because they're in my home, and when I have my friends over, it's like they're inundated with all these colors. It's like one of my friends, Roberta, who said it. It felt like in my apartment, they're within the painting because there's so many colors going on. And that's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Armando.
You don't have to stand. It's okay.
And Marc Chabot is a printmaker I've known for more than 30 years now, and works with the William Kemp Foundation. And I found a new battery in case we run out, so you can go ahead and speak.
Well, welcome. I'm glad you all came. I've drawn all my life, and drawing for me is, it's mostly an improvisation based on reactions to the world around me. And I draw mostly from, well, there are two things. I draw the figure. I've run a life drawing group for 34 years, but I've drawn the figure probably for 45 years now. That's every Tuesday evening. We draw the nude at the Washington Art Association in Washington Depot. So I provide that nexus for my fellow artists to come and draw the figure together. So there's there's both a work aspect to that and a social aspect to that and a giving back aspect to that and a connection with other human beings, the models, the whole idea of artist and model and the trust and the intimacy and just the opportunity to look at another human being, which is a wonderful thing. So that's a discipline as well as a passion. But these drawings that I have in the show here go back, well, 20 years. They're done over the past 20 years, and they're from imagination, and they reflect my interest in nature, in natural processes, in what lies beyond our own world, in what formed our own world, and what may happen to our own world. Those are some of the things that inform them. But they come out of sort of automatic drawing, which is a technique practiced by the surrealists. That is basically, like many artists who start out without something preconceived, you just start drawing. And in my case, because these are brush and ink, some of them start off with pencil, like a light indication in pencil. And once I get a movement or a series of forms on the paper and I kind of like where they're going, then I may stop and switch over to brush and ink. Or if I'm feeling, really full of it, I may just pick up a brush pen or brush and ink and just hit the blank paper and see what comes out. Of course, with brush and ink, you cannot undo what you do. So you have to be in the moment, pay exquisite attention to what you're doing, to how it's evolving and how what is already there or what you're about to put there will relate to what's already there. So I like that sort of dance of uncertainty and impulse and conviction very much. It's exciting. You're living on a higher plane. You're very aware of your senses and what you're creating. And yet you're also distanced from it, and you're kind of watching this thing unfold. It's kind of a magical process. Very much akin to other arts like music or improvisation in music, and to writing, stream of consciousness and seeing what comes out. In a more formal sense, I grew up in Woodbury, that whole area was home to a lot of the original group of surrealists who were escaping Europe during the Second World War and settled in New York and then in Connecticut because there were cheap places to live, beautiful country that reminded them of where they had come from perhaps, and lots of farm buildings that they could set up their studios in inexpensively. And so in Woodbury, we were, not that I knew them, but because they both were gone. Well, one died the month I was born, Yves Tonguet, and his wife, Kay Sage, died, I think it was 1963. She committed suicide because she was despondent over having lost her husband, and she was losing her eyesight, so she couldn't paint, the one thing that gave her life meaning beyond her connection with her late husband. So I didn't meet her, but I did go to school with her nephew. But that's just incidental, but it's kind of fun because it's a living connection. And I like those things. I like art history. So I look at a lot of art, and I lot of art of the past, the Renaissance, Rembrandt, Hercules Sagers, who was of Rembrandt's time, Hieronymus Bosch, who was, in the 1500s. These were all artists who, particularly Sagers and Bosch, and Bruegel too, who had incredible imaginations and produced these really fanciful landscapes that there wasn't much precedent, if any precedent for, maybe in Asian art, there was some, before they started making it. So I look at all these traditions, and, everything's a melting pot. Things come up or something inspires you and motivates you to create yourself because there's something beautiful in what you've seen and you want to express your joy and delight by applying yourself to try and do something in that mold. Not to be slavish, but there are qualities that in work that you see that resonate with you. So they help you find your own voice, I guess is what that's about. And there's an element of humor in some of my drawings. Some are a little scary looking, I guess.
Which one scares you?
Which one scares me? Maybe, let's see, Survival of the Fittest. The one in the, let's see.
If you'd like to go and
Talk about follow.
Yeah, sure, wing. Swing that around.
Swing.
I'll mention that because I said this is Survival of the Fittest. It's probably the most pared down. There's a lot more open space, and this one was drawn without any underdrawing. And the title evolved. My titles are mostly, well, they're almost all reactive. It's like, what the hell is that I just drew, And so I want the drawing, once it's on the paper, to speak to me. And like Pollock said, it is only after I've been in a painting that I know what I have been about. I really love that because he looked at this visual record of his activity and it spoke to him and he got some insight into what he was about. And I feel the same way. So looking at this, I see this sort of animate form and this other flying form fluttering above it, and it kind of looks like it's going to grab that, consume this, leap up and devour that flying form. So this became Survival of the Fittest. So I guess the other thing that maybe is frightening, perhaps, although I feel it's kind of friendly now. This, because the forms have a greater specificity as they're rendered, and it looks kind of alien or post-apocalyptic, and it became titled Sunflower 3000, because I kind of like that. It almost sounded like a graffiti artist handle or something. But after, the drawing's from 2003, so it's 20 years old. So I had a show in December, and I'm not sure if I had written the title on the back, so I felt like, well, you need to think about this again. So ever since I made the drawing, the plant or vegetable nature of this form, it seems to be animate, but it seems to be more vegetable than animal. And something about these petals or leaves and this sort of disc-like form, I thought, well, maybe it's like a mutant sunflower, in the future that survived in this arid, rocky clime. So it became sunflower, and I thought, well, time and place, and Sunflower 3000 popped into my head. What could this be what sunflowers look like in the year 3000, post-apocalyptically? And so that's where that title came from. So that's some of what goes on. This which is much looser, and I hope maybe a little less intimidating than Sunflower 3000. After I drew it, I saw this sort of double arch looking like a pair of eyebrows or orbits of eyes, and this looking like a big fleshy nose. And so I kept, once you see something in a morphic form, once you decide as the viewer what the hell you're looking at, and you get comfortable with that association, I want to know what you, I have a feeling. I have a feeling.
It is Mickey.
Yeah.
When you were describing the eyes and the nose, it's Richard Nixon.
Oh, yeah, I could, it very well could be.
Yeah.
Mark,
Yes.
hold up for 1 minute.